Hello. So thought I'd make another video for game week 18. It's I'm all a bit foggy headed at the moment. It's like we've got a lot of fixtures coming up. It's Christmas. We've got 5 free transfers, lots of injuries. I've still got my free hit to use. It's quite tricky to figure out what to do, and I think I'm spending my free transfers way too fast at the moment. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about that. I've changed my tune on the transfers. I think I've been using them too much, and I've realised we probably should be saving them much more for later in the season. So I'm going to talk about that. Talk about my plans for my team this week, where I'm at. I'm just going to waffle a bit. I might talk a little bit about double game weeks as well again. So that's the plan. Merry Christmas, by the way. It's Christmas Eve. It's going to be tricky because it's Christmas Day, Boxing Day. I'm probably not going to think anything about FPL. Deadline Boxing Day evening. So I kind of got to finalise my thinking today, really. So that's where we're at. Quick recap on what happened game week 17. So I got a red arrow, 10 points, which was a shame. I think not free hitting in 13 and triple captain Haaland in 17, that's ended up costing me quite a lot. Maybe a little bit undeserved, maybe a little bit unlucky, but I'm about 30 points at least down on that, which would probably put me close to 500k, I think, if I'd done that move instead. I've still got free hit left, so who knows, maybe I'll get lucky in game week 19 when I use it. That's true. So we'll see. It's not over yet, but so Haaland stung a little bit. He was against me, not the most though. Last game we actually had like Rodgers, Pedro, Semenyo, Reinders, all these kind of game week 1 picks all turning up again, which is interesting. But and the Arsenal defence as well hurt me a little bit this game week. I don't think they're over 100% EO yet, the Arsenal defence collectively, or at least the other Arsenal defenders, not including Timber, my defender. So I don't think you necessarily have to have 2 Arsenal defenders for a clean sheet to benefit you. I don't think but I think this last game week there was loads of defcons and bonuses and save points and stuff that all came against me as well for the Arsenal defence. So the Arsenal defence acted against me a little bit there, I think. The only really good thing was Semenyo, which was my two free transfers. I did Thiago down to Krupi and Xhaka up to Semenyo. So at least I got 8 points out of that. But I think I kind of regret it now. I'm starting to think these are all my transfers since game week 16, and Garner to Anderson was a bit of a luxury transfer. He's just a bench spot. I've just switched one of my bench spots for a slightly higher chance of getting 4 points than Garner. It's like that was a luxury transfer. I probably shouldn't have done that. And then this Xhaka to Semenyo, Thiago to Krupi, I wanted to have 1 striker up front and have 4 midfielders, because last game week there wasn't really many forward options that looked very good, and there was a lot of midfield options, whereas now Ekitike looks a lot better, and we've lost Bruno, and all of a sudden it's flipped a bit. And so I think I'm going to have to reverse that. I think I already have so far, but I could free hit it to cancel it out. So I think I'm going to have to reverse that. So that might have been a wasted transfer to have done that. But I got 8 points out of it at least anyway. So I want to talk first about why I'm suddenly feeling like we really should be saving these transfers. And I regret kind of spending them so frivolously, because I've been meaning to do this. I always think to do this every year, and I never do it. And it's not even that complicated to do, but I just trying to get a sense of basically how many transfers I've got left. So this is game week 18 to 38. This is the rest of the season. This is how many transfers I've got left. So I've got 2 in the bank at the moment. These are the game weeks when I free hit, and these are the game weeks when I'm going to wild card. I've already done 6. So when you free hit or wild card, you don't get an extra transfer that game week. So I'll have 2 this week, 3 next week, and then if I free hit in 19, I'll still have 320 in game week 20, all the way on. Wildcard in 32, free hit 34. I've got basically 19 transfers to use from now to the end of the season, which might seem like a lot, but we have this. I remember thinking about this last season. I'm I'm annoyed that I forgot about it. But you've got this double chip season here, game week 33 and all this kind of business. Ideally, if you're wildcarding 32, you'd be wildcarding with 5 free transfers. Would be an ideal situation. So you can bench boost 33 with your wildcard team, free hit 34, but then the teams that double in 36 and blank in 37, if we get them, last season we didn't, but I feel a little bit more bullish this season that we will this season because it just feels like there's a bit more pressure. If we get doubles, there'll probably be different teams doubling in 36, and if we get blanks as well in 37, that could compound it even further. So you really want transfers for that, so you can flip your players who double in 33 to different doublers in 36, and then you might want to have more transfers to sort out 37. I mean, you've got your bench and things like that, but that would be an ideal situation to wildcard 32 with some transfers in your bank. But then the problem with that is that you got blank game week 31, which is likely to be a blank. You're going to want to get rid of your players. Like if it's an Arsenal City final, EFL final, and they both blank, I'm going to have 3 Arsenal, 3 City, and 1 Crystal Palace player out of those teams. So that's 7 players. I've only got 3 bench, so I'm going to need 4 transfers to get rid of 4 blank players. So if I roll and get 4 free transfers for this game week, I'm just going to use them all, and I'm going to end up wildcarding here with no extra transfers. So ideally, you have to push it back even further. You want to get to like 5 free transfers here, and then just gradually unpick some of those players, your Arsenal players, your Man City players, your Crystal Palace players, so that you're just constantly rolling 5 or 4 free transfers and just skimming the one off the top, so that when you get here, you've only got 3 blankers and they can just sit on your bench and you can roll your transfers. So now this is all ideal world scenario, and it's probably unlikely going to happen, but I want to aim for it. So like Arsenal, because like with the Arsenal players, do you want to sell them early? You probably want to keep your Arsenal players all the way through. I mean, maybe Saka to Bruno 24 I can see potentially coming at some point, but I'm thinking of going to a double Arsenal defence. I mean, maybe I could avoid that and just stick with single Arsenal defence just because of that potential blank coming. Maybe. Crystal Palace have Leeds at home in 30. So if you've got any Palace, and we may very well have some Palace because they've got Burnley and Wolves in 26, 27. So people are going to be steaming into that Palace for those two. And then are you going to want to sell them before Leeds? Probably not. So you're going to use a transfer for that. I mean, and then City as well. City have got West Ham away there. Leeds, Forest, West Ham before a potential blank. So I don't know what's going to happen there. I mean, I don't know. Transfer, if you're happy to take hits, and maybe none of this really matters, and maybe you just take some hits. But I'm feeling like there's a kind of a vibe of how aggressive or passive you should be with your transfers. There's a kind of mood that I get into, a flow when I'm playing FPL, and it's like you can just sense that's a waste of a transfer, that's too luxury, whereas this one's important. You get a vibe, and I've kind of lost that flow, and I think with 5 free transfers it's suddenly like, you just spend them all, and I've been spending them too luxuriously, and it's like, I think I need to rein that right back in now and just use them for important ones. So if you have a player who's got a crap fixture, just play them. Don't worry about it too much. I think save your transfer. Especially when you look at like Thiago. I brought Thiago in for Leeds and Wolves, and he did bugger all, didn't he? So it's that kind of feeling. So yeah, I've been looking at that, and so from now until game week 31, I've got 14 transfers. But if I want to get there with, let's say, at least 4 transfers rolled up, that means I've got 10 transfers between now and 31. I've already used 2 this game week. I could cancel it with a free hit, but at the moment I've done Bruno to Ampadu and Gu up to Ekitike. So that's 8 left. And usually in a period like this, I would assume and anticipate you're going to get a certain number of red flags. It's just going to happen. So at least normally every other game week, but let's say every 3rd game week or something, you're probably going to get a good 4 or 5 red flags in this period anyway. So that really only leaves about like 4 transfers, luxury transfers that I've got over this period. unless the red flags double up, as you know, if I've got players I want to bring in, it might just coincide with a red flag, and so I can actually do that. Like Semenyo, for instance. Semenyo, good chance he's going to go to Man City now. If I can hold off until game week 20, then I might be able to just do Semenyo to Rodgers. Could be quite a nice transfer. That kind of thing. So it could coincide anyway. But yeah, so I haven't got that many transfers really. Maybe 8 or something like that from now until then. And you look at this kind of fixture ticker upcoming, and you look at all these like places where people are going to want to jump on bandwagons. I mean, starting at 18, well, Newcastle already, I quite like their little run here. Burnley, Leeds and Wolves. The Man United, they're playing Man United without Bruno, Ahmad and Bomo, Matraori. And then when they play Crystal Palace, they've got an extra couple of days rest. Where are they? Newcastle here. They've got like 5 days rest before Palace, whereas Palace only have 3 days until they play Newcastle there. So they might have a bit of an advantage there. So I quite like the little Newcastle run. Quite like Gordon. Bit of a risk, and Walter Marde's got Wisser knocking at the door, but I still quite like both of those picks. But that's one, and I'm basically not gonna pick them now, because I'm probably going to want to jump off them when they go into Aston Villa, Liverpool, and they've got Man City here, so Chelsea there. It's just a 5-game week punt, so I'm probably going to avoid that now. Man United, Wolves, Leeds, Burnley looks good, but then they go into Man City and Arsenal, so I'm probably going to swerve Cunha. I think that Leeds fixture could be tough as well. Pardon me. I always burp in these videos. If anybody doesn't know, there's a historic rivalry between Man United and Leeds, and I just think Leeds will be really up for that game. They'll be playing at home. I think Leeds could very well beat Man United without Bruno as well. So that's a big game. So yeah, probably going to swerve Man United. Everton are one you could probably go for. It's Everton defence you'd go for, wouldn't it? And they've got quite a nice run. It gets a little bit trickier here. Bournemouth, Man United, Newcastle, Arsenal, Chelsea. Could be a blank there. Burnley, it's good. But you could go for their defence, a Tarkowski, a Keane, Pickford, whoever. And then you just stick with them here. I probably wouldn't sell them though. I'd stick with them. But you are buying a potential doubler. It's a bit of a potential blanker here in 31. But I suppose they're also a potential doubler. Outside chance of doubling. Yeah, I think Everton are fine if you want to go for them, but I'm a little bit, if I could avoid them I will if I can at the moment. And then there are other runs that people are going to jump on. I mean, there's obviously Chelsea starting either 21 but certainly 24, West Ham, Wolves, Leeds, Burnley. And in fact there's actually a lot of fixture swings that start at 24. I think a lot of people might wildcard in 34. That would be like a good early wildcard for some people that don't want to save it for chip season, because you've got, I mean, Arsenal, Leeds, Sunderland, but Arsenal are good all the time anyway, but Leeds and Sunderland is nice. Then there's Aston Villa, get beyond this little patch here with Chelsea, Arsenal, Newcastle, and then they go into Brentford and beyond. That gets a bit nicer for them. Bournemouth is actually a bit nicer. They get past this little patch here, and then it starts to get a bit greener for Bournemouth up until 31. They're good. Chelsea are good. And then there's also, the Newcastle will end around about 24, 23, 24. And I think Bruno would be a good jumping on point to get back on Bruno in 24 as well, after Man City and Arsenal are out of the way. So 24 is quite, if you are looking for an early wild card, that would be a good one, I think, game week 24. So there's lots of jumping on points. There's going to be, and then you've also got Palace here with Burnley, Wolves at home back to back. There's going to be so much of a bandwagon to jump on Sarr and Mateta and stuff in that little period. And I think I'm either going to have to resist it or get comfortable with hits. Maybe start becoming a bit trigger happy with hits and just start taking them. So I may do that. One sec. Let me just wait a sec. Sorry. So, yeah. There's going to be a lot of bandwagons, a lot of jumping on and off points. Yeah, and I'm thinking things like so this Newcastle to Chelsea switch, I've got Chow. I'm probably going to keep Chow for this little run, and then it would be very easy to just jump to like a Chalobah for Chelsea for this run. But then the problem with Chelsea is you're going to want to sell them again in 28. Arsenal, Aston Villa, Newcastle, and then either Everton or blank. Whereas, so I'm probably more inclined to just go for a Senesi, because he's got a good jumping on point there, and I wouldn't have to sell him again, and he's got no blank in 31. No potential blank. So, I mean, unless Chalobah gets a double, unless they get the double, and then maybe I will, but that's unlikely at the moment. So I'm thinking things like that. Like I want to really kind of limit my transfers, and it's the same with. This is why I'm probably going to free hit in 19 now, because originally I was thinking free hit 18, get Ekitike in, and then I'll actually buy Cunha, because I just kind of fancied I'm more likely to want to own Cunha long term, just because Ekitike's minutes were, he was only starting every other game or something. He was competition with Isaac. But now that's flipped. Isaac's gone, and he's not going to be back until, you know, Feb, sometime around here. He'll have to be eased back in. So Ekitike has a pretty good chance of having pretty solid minutes right the way up for this whole period, I reckon. So hopefully he shouldn't be a sell at all, is what I'm hoping. He looks quite good. I've always liked Ekitike from the start of the season. It's just his minutes I didn't like. But he's like a 1xGI kind of guy from Frankfurt. So he could be prolific. And if he's nailed, that's pretty good. Whereas Cunha, without Bruno there either, I've just started to go off him. I think that Leeds fixture is tough, and then I don't like the Man City Arsenal either. So I think I'm going to swerve Cunha now. So I'll bring Cunha in. I'll free hit in 19 and bring Cunha in for that, but then I'll actually buy Ekitike. That's what I'm thinking. So I've basically flipped. It's cost me a couple of transfers, but I flipped on that. And I'm just thinking I just want to buy players who are just going to be nailed, and I'll never have to move them again. I was kind of hoping I wouldn't have to move Semenyo. I was thinking of keeping Semenyo, but it looks like he's going to Man City now. Fabrizio Romano said this, that it looks pretty likely he's going to Man City. So, but then I think if I can just get Semenyo to play GW 18, hopefully he will. I can free hit in 19, and then I can sell him to Rodgers in 20. And Rodgers feels like, at the moment, feels like a solid pick right up until 31. No blank in 31. Yeah, ticks all those boxes. Yeah. So again, as I say, unless I start thinking about hits, like it might be worth a hit to bring Sarr in for Burnley at home, Wolves at home, and then hit him back out again. That's the thing. Are you going to hit him back out again if he's got a blank in 31? Because 2 good fixtures, but then if it's going to cost you 8 points, maybe not. This is the problem with hits. I'm becoming less hit friendly over the years, I think. So anyway, that is why I'm becoming feeling like I want to be much more passive with my transfers now and save them a bit if I can. Yeah, and I look at the transfers I've made, and that Garner to Anderson is silly. I just made this video before, and I can't remember if I'm repeating myself because I had to do it again. I got some sound quality problems, so I might be repeating myself in this video. But yeah, that was a waste. Probably wouldn't have done that Semenyo one, but at least I got 8 points out of it. Anyway, so that's probably what I'm going to do. I do have an option to free hit 18 instead, and kind of cancel all these transfers. If I want to save these transfers and stuff, but I don't think I do. I mean, if I don't know, if I reset this, my team in 19 will look like this. If I free hit an 18, I'll come back to 19. I'd have Bruno, Semenyo. It's Semenyo. The best time to free hit with Semenyo is just the one that he's going to miss. Like, he might play both Brentford and Chelsea and then miss the next one, because Chelsea's on the 30th of December, I think. So he might play that one. But I feel as though he's more likely to play the Brentford one and then maybe miss the Chelsea one, or if he's going to miss any. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. So, yeah, he's more likely to play the Brentford one. So I think I'll get the Brentford one out of him. It's a better fixture too. And then free hit him out in 19 feels better. Same with Petrovic against Chelsea. It's not a very good fixture. Bruno's a sell. There's no point free hitting in the hopes that he's going to come back. It sounds like he's out for a month. Something like that. Time Sport saying they're hoping to get him back for the Man City game, but then Man United have got, like, if he's going to miss Wolves, Leeds and Burnley, I don't particularly want him for Man City and Arsenal anyway. So game week 24, that's why you're probably going to get Bruno back. So I may as well sell him. Where's my thing? May as well sell him. So yeah, that kind of, there's no point free hitting in 18 just to still have that problem. I've already, I've made some money out of him as well. I sold him before his price drop, and I got Ekitike before his price rise. So and then also the free hit weeks, let me just load them up. The free hit weeks in 18 looks a little bit worse than 19, I think. 19's just got this, you've got the Newcastle Burnley game. Even though it's away, it just could be nice. Quite like to have a little Walter Gordon punt. Man United Wolves game is quite nice. Just for one game to bring Cunha in and stuff. Maybe a Mount or a Sesko. Liverpool Leeds could be tricky, but I'll probably have some. There's a few options. And then Man City against Sunderland away could be tricky as well. But Arsenal, Aston Villa, tricky, but there could be something there. Whereas 18, the Liverpool Wolves game is good, but I've already got Virgil and Ekitike, and I don't know how much I love Wirtz or who my third Liverpool would be. And then Arsenal Brighton is fine-ish, but you don't know. Brighton can always score a goal. Everton Burnley defence is probably good. It's just a notch worse. 18, I think 18 just feels a notch worse than 19. So yeah, so other than the transfers, obviously I've had to use 2 transfers. But yeah, see, if I free hit an 18 and just wait to 19, I'm still going to have to use the one transfer to get rid of Bruno anyway. But so I'd still use one transfer to get rid of Bruno. But maybe I could keep that structure of like 2 dead spots and 4 midfielders. But I don't know. I don't think I like it. I think I like going back to this structure anyway. I think. Who knows? I might change my mind on that, but yeah, so game week 18, here's my team. Richards, I mean, I could play Richards. It sounds like he's probably out for this game, but might be back for the next one. I will probably keep hold of him. I could just start him. He might have the kind of injury where he's either going to play or not play at all. So I could just start him and see, but I don't know. I'll try and read that nearer the time. Maybe I won't take the risk and I'll just start Anderson instead. Get a nice safe 4-pointer instead. We'll see. I don't know. I may take the risk with Richards. He's got no XGI though, has he? So your ceiling with him is like 8 points, maybe 8 or 9. And then yeah, so something like this. Chow, I will probably play ahead of Ampadu because Chow's DEFCON rate is pretty good. I've added this to my DEFCON now, so like this is chance of getting DEFCON, and Anderson's on 60%, Ampadu's on 53%, but Chow's on 59%. Man United give away loads of DEFCONs, and he's playing away against centre backs, so they're like top. So Chow's probably got a good chance of DEFCON, unless no Bruno, no Mboma affects that. But I think he's probably got a good chance of DEFCON, and then his XGI is probably similar to Ampadu's, and he's got a chance of a clean sheet as well, whereas Ampadu doesn't have that. So I'll probably play Chow over Ampadu. I went for Ampadu because I like going for players who are a little bit unknown, not many people talking about him, and he's pretty high on the DEFCON charts here. He's been starting every game. I think he's the captain of Leeds. I think he's Leeds captain. Got a goal last game week, but I'm not expecting that every week. Yeah, he just looks like a good DEFCON chance. He's 4.9, so he's cheaper than Xhaka. So he's probably a little bit of an upgrade on Xhaka for a little bit cheaper. I didn't want to go back to Xhaka because otherwise that just feels like even more of a waste of a transfer. So yeah, I don't know. Went for Ampadu. I quite like Leeds at the moment. They're a team on the up. Yeah, one thing I was thinking about as well is like I was trying to predict the future and trying to predict like who's going to be the next team to jump on. Going back to like this all these fixture changes and who to jump on and who not to. Leeds are a team who have had like quite a big improvement over their season XG to their last 6 game weeks, and they've played some really tough fixtures: Aston Villa, Man City, Chelsea, Liverpool, Brentford, Palace, and yet they've cooked up a lot of XG in that time. So Leeds are an interesting team, I think, one to look at. Bournemouth XG improving, Newcastle improving a lot, Aston Villa as well improving a lot XG wise. Everton dropping down, West Ham dropping down. You know, there are some teams that are getting worse. Chelsea dropping down a lot for some reason. Just trying to kind of figure out who's the team that's improving the most. Man United, Liverpool getting a bit better defensively. Newcastle a bit worse. Forest a bit better. I think Leeds are actually not doing that great defensively, but attacking wise they're doing pretty good. Man City doing a bit worse. Anyway, so Leeds were a team though that I was thinking they look like they're on the up. So I quite fancy going for a piece of Leeds. So anyway, that's the team. He'll be probably first bench. I may play Richards Anderson as a decision, and then captaincy. I think I'm on Haaland. Ekitike can do pretty well. My model at the moment has Haaland fairly clear, because Haaland's like 1.1 XGI for the season, 1.13 in the last 6 game weeks. So consistent, 19 goals. Whereas Ekitike is on 0.49 XGI for the season, 0.66 in the last 6 game weeks. He is overperforming that. For Frankfurt, he was like a 0.9-ish guy, and his actual goals and assists is probably on about a 0.89 kind of rate, which is pretty good. So, and against Wolves are crap, and they're home to Wolves, so he's not a bad punt for a captain. But I've just got Haaland as, because his XGI is just so high, he will probably do well. Nottingham Forest away, I don't know, does that mean Nottingham Forest might go for it a bit more, leave him a bit more space? Don't know. I think I'm on Haaland though, but it's probably not a bad punt to go for Ekitike. But you know, with Liverpool with a few players missing as well, I just don't know whether he'll have the what do you call it? It'll be provided with good chances. So I think I'm on Haaland cap. So that is the team. I'm going to go for it. I need to check that Semenyo's going to play, because he's linked with Man City now. And also a word on Richards. If anybody watched the EFL game against Arsenal, Gay scored and didn't celebrate, and it was like an obvious like signalling to the crowd. It was like it was like one of those obvious. It was a weird thing that he should have been celebrating. He deliberately downplayed it. And then he was seen talking to like Arsenal players afterwards. Arteta gave him a good handshake, and it's the January transfer window. Arsenal have a lot of centre-backs out and a lot of defenders out at the moment. And I also think with the Hincapi transfer, I remember feeling like Arsenal didn't need him, but they bought him just to block Liverpool from getting him, or some other team from getting him. And I wonder whether they're going to do the same with Gay and just buy him partly to help Arsenal with their injuries, but also partly to block Liverpool from getting him. So I do wonder, just keep an eye on that. I wonder whether there's a little Gay to Arsenal move on the cards, because that would weaken Crystal Palace's defence, which might make Richards more of a sell. If you're thinking about selling him, could be worth looking into that. But I don't really want to sell Richards. He's another one who's got pretty okay fixtures. His fixtures are fine. I mean, he might have a blank in 31, so I suppose. But his fixtures just look kind of fine all the way through. Really, I don't really want to sell him. And Palace's defence has been so good this season, so don't know. But without Gay, that's surely going to hurt them. So that's my team though. Game week 18. I think I'm just going to play that. I'm going to free hit in 19. Something focusing on the Newcastle Burnley fixtures and something like that. I don't know. I haven't looked at it deeply yet. I'm probably going to play Dubravka over Petrovic, mainly because Burnley's home defensive record is not that bad, and Everton's away attacking record is pretty bad, and they've got a lot of attackers out at the moment. Whereas Bournemouth's away record defensively is bad, and Brentford's home XG is pretty good. When you look at it with home and away factored in, which is something I really should add to my model. I still haven't done it yet, but I've done it a little bit, but just not specific to each team. I've just done a blanket kind of 5% thing. So when you factor that in, I think Dubravka is probably better off. So I think I'm going to go for Dubravka, but it feels a bit uneasy going for a Burnley keeper. But that's the plan. Yeah, then free hit 19. Free hit 19, and then we'll see where we're at in 20. I'm going to try and save as many transfers as I can, I think. So probably won't go for Cunha. 20, I'm probably going to have to do Semenyo. I'll only have one transfer, and it'll probably be Semenyo to Rodgers. So I'm tight for transfers already. I'm going to have to deal with Semenyo. And then after that, I'm going to resist Newcastle, resist Everton. It's going to be tempting to go to Everton. I want to get Gabriel at some point. I think I want to go for Senesi, but I think I'm going to kind of see if I can wait for 24. Chow to Senesi. Yeah, something like that. Maybe take hits, but hopefully not. Yep, so that's the kind of rough plan. That's all I wanted to say about that. And then I might just say something about double game weeks. Again, just a little update. So yesterday Palace lost to Arsenal. So EFL final, semi-finals, Chelsea and Arsenal, Newcastle, Man City. This means that there can't be only one blank in 31 or the weekend of game week 31, because Crystal Palace and Man City can't both get to the final now because Palace are out. So you're definitely going to have 2 blanks on this weekend. Now, I still think there's a chance that some of these teams that blank could end up, if they're both knocked out of the FA Cup or Europe, they could end up going in that week, in that little spot there, which is still technically part of game week 31, and so it wouldn't actually be a blank at all. Particularly look at Newcastle Sunderland. If Newcastle were to get to the EFL final, which they could, who knows? If they were to get to the EFL final, well, they've got to play Bournemouth in the FA Cup, and Sunderland will have to play Everton. And if Newcastle and Sunderland get knocked out, which they could quite easily happen, and they both get knocked out, then it could go. The Sunderland Newcastle blank could just go to there in that quarter final, and then it would still be technically a part of 31. Now, or if Newcastle get knocked out of Champions League, I think they'll probably finish in the top 24. But if they get knocked out of the playoffs here, then they might just stick it here in this week. That's kind of similar to what happened last season. Last season we had like the blank EFL there, had an international break, FA Cup weekend, and then it went to game week 30, 31, and then the Newcastle Crystal Palace game ended up going in like game week 32 in one of those European quarterfinals, because they must have been knocked out, or they weren't even in Europe. I don't think those two teams. I can't remember. I don't think they were in Europe, and that's what happened last season. But this season, one of those Europa weeks is actually part of game week 31 still. So it's a possibility. Yep, and there's a couple of more things to be said. There's a chap I chat to sometimes called Tom Coronaldi, and he's very good with this kind of stuff. You should give him a follow on Twitter. And he mentioned that he reminded me of a few things. So firstly, the chances of Arsenal getting a double in 27 is actually quite low. They got a slim chance in 26, maybe 50-50 chance in 26, but it's probably not going to happen in 27, because in game week 27, Arsenal play on the Sunday and Wolves play on the Friday of game week 28, and so there's not enough room to put it. If you put it on the Tuesday, Arsenal only have 1 day's rest, so you can't put it there. And if you put it on the Wednesday, Wolves only have 1 day rest, so you can't actually fit it there. So unless these fixtures move, Aston Villa, if they don't finish in the top 8, then that fixture would have to be moved to like Sunday, because they'd have to play on the Thursday here. But the bookies have them at 99% chance of finishing in the top 8, so that's very unlikely to happen. So these fixtures are probably set. so it's probably not going in 27. I mean, they could move them still, but they usually on the fixture announcement article they put a little star saying subject to movement in case of this, that and the other, and they haven't done anything like that, so probably not moving, so it's probably not going in 27. It could go in 26. I originally thought it was unlikely to go in 26 because you only got like 2 weeks notice, but Tomo reminded me as well that last season this is what happened with Liverpool, where it was in like 13 days, so it was about 2 weeks. They did a provisional announcement a week before, and then 2 weeks later, after the EFL second leg, Liverpool had their double. So it could go in 26 for Arsenal if they were to reach the EFL final. But that's also a little bit tight because in 26, Arsenal play on the Thursday there, Wolves play on the Saturday, and you've got an FA Cup round to squeeze in here as well. So it basically means if Arsenal get to the FA Cup fourth round, they would have to play on the Sunday, and then the Arsenal-Wolves game would have to be on the Wednesday, which would work, but you would need Arsenal and Wolves' fixtures in the FA Cup to both be played on that Sunday. And if the TV picks decide they want to play one of them on a Monday, then that you can't squeeze a double in there. But I mean, I don't know how much say the TV companies have. They can't put it on a Saturday because they'll be told they can't do that. So they might just be told you can't put it on a Monday either. It might just be decided for them. But so yeah, I think there's a fair chance it will go in 26 then. 50-50 at least. They got to get to the EFL final yet though as well. But Newcastle are probably not going to finish in the top 8, so they're not going to get a double in 27. Man City and Crystal Palace are out. Man City can't get a double in 26 or 27 because Crystal Palace are blocking it because they didn't make the top 8. So the only other team is Chelsea. So if Chelsea get to the final of the EFL Cup and make the top 8 of the Champions League, then they could get a double in 26 or 27. But it seems, and with Chelsea as well, I still think it would be more likely to go in 27 just because of the extra week's notice. But so you might get a double in 26 and 27, but I think it's unlikely. I think Chelsea are unlikely to finish in the top 8 and get to the final of the EFL Cup. But I don't know. That's one. It's kind of 30% maybe. It's on the cusp of maybe being something that could happen. So we're probably only going to get one double, and it'll probably just be Arsenal Wolves in 26, 50-50 chance at least. And I've already got triple Arsenal. Well, I probably will already have triple Arsenal, and nobody's going to want any Wolves for their double. Nottingham Forest away, Arsenal at home. So it's not really going to change anything or make anybody. We're not going to use transfers for it much. So yeah, so there's probably not going to be that much action there. It's just the blank here, and I still feel like there's a bit more pressure to get some doubles of this part of the season. But I think did I say that earlier? I'm repeating myself, aren't I? Yeah, I think that's all I want to say. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, I'll leave it there. Have a good Christmas. Good luck, and see you later. Bye bye.